Hello, hello, hello. Here we go. Another episode of what the hell is happening with this tournament. So this is Grandmaster Jerry, Fast Feet Fontanez, and I am so excited because
Hi, everyone.
we got something that came in today. Let me get them, honey. Let me get them. A whole stack of them. Now, we don't have many of them, guys. I finally got a little smart and started making orders, but not a lot of orders. So there's right now a total of, well, it was 9.
No, it was 10.
It was 10. This person decided to purchase one. These hats now, one of the Senpai, sure. I gotta get rid of that one, sorry. So we have 8 caps left. The one that you see me with right now. And, so like I said, there's 8 caps left. Make that move right now. Now, OGs, yeah, you guys have a special price. Today happens to be Cinco de Mayo, so I had told all the OGs that they were going to get things at a ridiculous low price, and some of them took action, some of them didn't. So it doesn't matter. You still got it to 12 midnight. Happy Cinco de Mayo for those of you who are celebrating that. For example, you guys know that this particular cap is not it's not embroidered, it's actually screened, so it's not as expensive as it could be. But I like that fact that has the nice brim, two-tone, and it fits pretty nice. I like it. In the back, if you see, it doesn't have a strap, say snaps, but it has the Velcro. So this is a $20 hat, guys. Pretty conservative. Like I said, all proceeds go towards supporting the UMAN OG League. And for him and her. She actually made it tighter than
Yeah, my hip because.
Yeah, so she's being funny right now. I don't know why she's like, but
Ow.
Sorry, cap on cap crime. Maybe we should put. Jesus Christ, you could press charge if you get hit with it.
Yeah.
Hey, what the heck? He's using the head. Anyhow, so if you look up there, guys, $10,000, $10,000 in prize money is what we have now made a commitment to do. Now, this happened while last night we were going live, and it was 6,500, and I'm saying, man, I would really love to be able to give away 5 figures. How cool would that be? To have competitors come and actually earn a nice little lump sum. So what we ended up doing was we started adding. We got away from the 3 age brackets for 1 grand champion. So let's go to 2 age brackets. In other words, so the 30 and 40-year-olds fights against the 30 and 40-year-olds now fight for their own grand champion. And the 50 and 60 fight for their own grand champion. And the 70 above fight for their own grand champion too. So that made it a little better, I believe. However, I also added weapons to get $250 every time they win in the age bracket. So again, I went over the details yesterday. I will be printing. If you look down there, the video is down there. It also gives a breakdown of exactly what's happening. But in a nutshell, we're giving $3,000 for sparring when it comes to the men from ages 30 to 80. Now, the oldest person registered presently happens to be 83 years young. And that's Michael Robinson. I'm not sure of his title, probably Hanchi, phenomenal martial artist. And in addition to that, we also have 9 people in the 70 to 74 division. And I keep saying that, guys, because we made an executive decision, and the executive decision is nice, beautiful. And the executive decision is this. See, now I just got sidetracked. We're talking about pattern interrupt, and I just got a pattern interrupt.
70 to 73?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for resetting me. Because the 70-73 already has 9 people, we're going to make a cap of 16 people per division. In other words, it's 8 people initially to make a division because I wanted people just to compete sparring only 3 times to win first place. So that's the initial thing. But then I got by accident. Imagine if I would have said to you right now, guys, no more 70 to 74. You're thinking, is there anybody in there? No, because we already have 8 people. I focused on that division first because that was one of the ones that I believe would be the trigger to get other people going. And since the 65 to 69 division was our most popular division, believe it or not, those are people I competed with quite a bit. my peers, even though I was a teenager. Then I said, well, how about the next division, the 70 to 74, because that was a division where I used to fight against Golden Feet himself, you know. And so that being the case with Golden Feet, which is Kurt Holloway, and I named all of the OGs that are part of it. In terms of New York OGs, in that case, you also have Felix Vasquez, believe it or not, that's going to be sparring in that division. And you also have my senpai, Franklin Rodriguez. Then we got a gentleman who's coming from California, not California, excuse me, coming from, formerly from California, now he's in Arizona. His name is Dwayne, formerly known as Dwayne Maggot, Spider-Man, phenomenal heavyweight, beat everybody back in the late 70s and early 80s. And Dwayne Maggot was actually a student of Mr. Bennett and also Kashenda, Lamar Thorne. And we also have Superfeet Leroy Taylor, former welterweight champion, I believe it was, for the PKA. And then we also have James Frisco Disco Frisco. Well, his name was Disco, I think. In the TV show Miami Vice, I think they knew him as Cisco Disco or something like that. He had an ongoing part. He also played professional football, incredible martial arts, won the 1978 U.S. Open, believe it or not. So he's in that division also. And then we also have James Zeno, who not only registered to compete, but he also paid it forward, and we used that money to sponsor Michael Robinson, who's 83 years old. We also had Eddie Boone, who sponsored $50 at a time times 3, so it was $150, even though registration now is $60, guys, as you guys know. If you don't know, then now you know as of May. And he paid it forward. Like I said, Eddie Boone, Master Eddie Boone, donated $150 last. The only person, if you really look down there, and I'm put the link for the. Remind me to put the link in the bottom for those who want to donate, because you have a whole bunch of benefits when you donate. It's not just giving some money up. You know, it's called donate, or I should say, it's called sponsor an OG. If you sponsor an OG, then you'll be able to get some prizes. It's not just free. You got spectator tickets and VIP and a whole bunch of different things. I'll put the link in the bottom. I'm updating the site just after this, and it's going to be at freefunder.com. So you know exactly. Those 3 people that he sponsored ended up being Felix Vasquez, Shion Lou Ferrer, Sensei Felix Vasquez, and that also covered the legendary James Cisco. So when I say that there's 9 people in that division, I mean there's 9 people either paid or were sponsored, including Cjo Halbert Lee, who's also in there. And I'm not sure if I remember and Thunderfoot Curitin, who fought in UFC number 9. So we're talking about some real deal pioneers and legends, and if for some reason I forgot one person there, then I apologize, because it's really getting not overwhelming but very exciting. So again, $10,000 of prize money be given away at this tournament, and you will be able to fight people within your age bracket. If for some reason I mentioned, if you see there, if for some reason we get, instead of 8 people, we got 16 people, that means I'm giving away more money. So instead of winning when the 60 to 64 fights the 65 to 69, normally that would be $250 to become the 60th champion, and your championship belt also. Championship belt. So now we have, can you imagine, guys, picture this. The 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s champion there with a championship belt. How cool is that going to be, right? In addition to that, also what I was saying is that if you have 2 people, let's say in this case, it seems like 74 to 75, 75, 70 to 74. That's the division. If they're able to get 16, that means when they fight against each other, immediately whoever wins is going to get $100. In other words, if there's 2 weight categories in the same division, then whoever wins is going to get $100. Awesome. And then they're going to fight for the additional $250 for the so-called championship. How's that? It's kind of cool, I think. Yeah. So when I say 7,000, that's going to be 7,000 minimum. I got to put, because there's a possibility of additional bonuses. We also are doing the Grand Championship forms, same way. I should say championship forms the same way, where you get $250, and then if you win another match, I should say if you win the Grand Championship, it'll be instead of it being $1,000, guys, it's $750. But instead of being two, now we got three. So basically, we gave away another $1,500 per, so another $3,000 total. That's how we got to the $9,750, because we added another $750 for the women. So we got three different age brackets for the women fighting. No Grand Champion this time, even though we might have one. That might change if we get the people registered, the women registered. But last time, that wasn't the case. But we're really pushing. So if you guys know anybody, maybe some OGs that should be sponsored, women in particular, we're gonna start. I'm gonna start filling up the women division. I'm gonna start doing, just to make sure that money's really goes to somebody. Then we have something that's very, very unique. And what is that? The actual official of the day is going to earn $250 as a prize. That's right. Why not? I think that sounds great. Judges, referees, whatever you want to call them, these officials usually get abused and used and abused and served like hell. And I don't want them to be caught hanging dead in a cell.
No.
That was a line back in the email with the message. No, honestly, I think sometimes judges go way beyond the call of duty and they don't get compensated. So I want to make sure that we do acknowledge them. And yes, we're going to have some certified judges. Please, there's so many moving parts behind the scenes, guys. Please understand that this is not just a one-person show. This is a collective of us one. And people who come up with ideas. My goal is to be able to get corporate sponsorships to support the 30-plus market. Now, realistically, the 30-plus market is huge, because every year that goes by, there's a 29-year-old that gets a chance now to be in the 30 to 39 in some of these tournaments. But these tournaments are the top national tournaments, do one of two things. So let's do this. So you have a national tournament, you win your division, and you're 30 years old, and you fight for a grand champion. That's normally, it's 30 to 39, where we have it broken down to every 5 years. And then, if you win the grand champion, you have to fight people up until 49, which is, a little, that's consistent with what we're doing right now. However, they get the whopping total of $300. Well, in my case, you made $750. That's only one. And then the 50 to 60, where in this case it'll be 50 plus in those other tournaments, regardless of how many people it could be, then they give them another $200. Imagine that. So they figure the 30-year-olds working out and teaching, sparring and competing, is worth more than the 50-year-olds, which I don't think that makes any sense. At the very least, it should be even. And I was this close to giving another $250 to who? To the 70-plus. And I decided, let's give it to a person who might be that day busting their rear and doing the right thing by being an official. So that's why I said let's focus on that, because no one's ever done that. Have you ever heard of that? I never heard of that. So I do want to address a quick issue, and this sounds crazy. We come from different backgrounds in martial arts, and there are rules to what would be minimum equipment. For example, the headgear is an optional equipment. Recommended for many, because we do have the suite, but it's optional. I would rather fight without the headgear, even though I've been fighting in the last few months for headgear just to condition myself. However, when it comes to the mouthpiece, and it's going to sound funny, as long as you have teeth. I had a guy said, "It is a mandatory. The mouth is mandatory." He said, "How about if you have no teeth?" I went, "With the exception to that." It's just keeping it honest, right? So someone was, and then today we were debating, but if they have the gums, they might get the gums hurt. I said, well, you don't want to put no mouthpiece in gums because there's no teeth there, unless they have to put their fake teeth in. Man, can complicate it. Leave that up to them.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's funny, but it's the honest truth, right? It's something that we have to deal with. A lot of times we have our friends and they have their teeth on, but they only have the bottom teeth, and we don't realize the top teeth are gone. It's just the way it is, guys. Sometimes it's from diabetes, sometimes it's from block on your face. Don't do that. So mandatory equipment includes your mouthpiece if you have teeth, and your gloves. Now, what gloves are they? You're not going to be able to fight with these closed hand gloves, which what I consider pseudo boxing gloves, because they slip out, and by accident, you're going to hit somebody just with the glove. And I'm going to say it like that because I'm assuming that no one's going to do that on purpose to extend their glove, even though that's a rule that I wrote back in 1994, glove extension rule, which is a no-no at the NBL rules back in the day. People didn't even know they were cheating. They used to go like this, you know. I lift up my knee like this, and I would put my glove down, and they would slap out the glove. Like, imagine that. I got a guy on video doing that, and then I told him he did that. He's like, I never did that. Man, I got you on video. No honor, no respect. So that is not something that we want to happen by accident. Plus, it's at your disadvantage if you can grab the person and sweep them, because the sweep is in. It's not just sweeps over there. Who's watching, I believe. Just Luis Morales, how you doing, sir? However, it's to your advantage to be able to do a grab, and I'm making the gloves, guys. Now you have the option to use, you know, what you like in the sense of. If someone said to me, "Can I use those Bruce Lee Kempo gloves?" The answer is yes. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to use that. No problem. However, I'm making foam dip gloves similar to the company starting with an M. Sounds like it's a Spanish company. And then with an O, like they make, double padded. But I'm also making professional gloves made out of leather. So one is foam dip and one's professional glove made out of leather. And those professional gloves actually match with some other apparel that's being made as we speak. In addition to that, so mandatory equipment, mouthpiece if we have teeth. I keep saying that, but it's the truth. It's a sad truth because we have to deal with the fact that a lot of them don't have. And then the gloves are mandatory, open hand only. This is where it gets really tricky, guys. The groin cup. The groin cup is something that people literally, a lot of times, don't fight with it. And I got to say this, honey. Check this out.
What?
I wasn't fighting with my groin cup.
Uh-oh.
There's been times right now where I'm sparring with Master Ty, and I actually get hit in the groin. And I've been faking it pretty good. But it's not a good feeling. Plus, it's a very dangerous possibility. So, you know, my attorney said to me, listen, you have to make sure if you're dealing with all these elders that you keep the thing as safe as possible. And you have to make sure that the mandatory list of equipment, which is there for their safety, is being utilized. Otherwise, you're at risk of not being able to have these tournaments in the future. God forbid something happens to somebody. I'm thinking, oh, my God. That's the last thing we need. I mean, we had guys throwing kicks and pulling muscles. It happened in 2 tournaments in a row, which has been the most detrimental technique so far. I should say the most detrimental. The biggest injury has been a pulled hamstring muscle that happened not once but twice. So I want to do something here, and I guess I guess here it is. I know it looks funny, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep that just for a second, and then I'm going to turn it off. There it is. There's the cup. It's a simple cup, but at least the cup does have what I would consider the brand. So there's the logo right there, UMAN OG. I don't believe I did that to myself. Okay, maybe we're going to get rid of it now. See right there, UMAN OG. Oh, I didn't make it big enough. One more time. Jesus, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm doing this. But there is the product. I'm going to get out the way. Yeah. UMAN OG. So there's the UMAN OG. Guys, stay tuned for commercial starring the UMAN OG Pro Cups. And, of course, it doesn't have to be that cup, guys. I'm just saying that the proceeds, at least to this one in particular, goes to sponsoring and paying for a lot of the things that behind the scenes. For example, I hear that the ring sponsorship for the ring is $1,500 alone.
Wow.
To rent a ring, which is, I'm like, wow, $1,500, something to think about. You know, I mean, I want to do it, and it only makes sense if we have sponsors to do it by having the cushions themselves. I figure, imagine the ring itself having the canvas with the logo, UMAN in the center, and then the major sponsors, you know, on that thing also, the canvas, and then the corner cushions having the sponsors. So, well, it would be cute, but also look professional. So I guess I guess cute aesthetically means professional too.
Yes.
Right. In addition to that, then there's possibilities. So there's a lot of decisions that have to be made. And I do have meetings on a consistent basis to toss up ideas with my partners. And but I am the face of this whole thing. And the face, by the way, is starting to look younger, according to some people, because I'm taking my peptides, baby, so these eyes are not dark in the bottom. Now, we do have growing cup, like I said, mandatory. In addition to that, we also have shin guards are optional, guys, even though I highly recommend them, really do. But they are optional. And if you want some shin guards, then again, we're also doing our own UMAN OG shin guards, only because if someone's going to spend money getting equipment, I might as well give them the equipment that we approve of. Doesn't mean that yours may not be approved of, unless if it's phoned up and it's ripped up, sorry, buddy, you have to, because that thing can scratch you too, so we don't want that. Yeah, it's time for you to give up and get new ones, you know. However, mandatory equipment is the safety boots. Now, for those of you who, I'm gonna say this because I am an insider to this, and there is a difference in my belief. If you guys saw me sparring today, I'm sparring with Master Ty, who's my sparring partner, even though this week I got 3 additional people at different stages of not sparring, but sparring curriculum for the sniper fighting. I'm able to do angles of step that I couldn't do before, because like I'm playing basketball in the sense that I have sneakers that actually hold on to the ground. So I was thinking, man, you can walk in the street with these sneakers and then compete in the tournament just by cleaning your body. But one thing I realized is that it's going to have a wear and tear on the heel, so after a while you may not have the same type of footage, you know. So I don't want to get to the point where I'm using my sneakers and I slip in the hallway because of that. So I'll be testing this beforehand, but it's probably going to be where you're going to dedicate a shoe, a sneaker, to what would be, yeah. There is a news announcement that I'm not going to make today. Not going to make it until it actually comes here. Because there's something. Yeah, I'm going to have to. Well, you better not give it up either. You know how women are sometimes.
I'm not going to give it up. Sorry.
Don't give up the information.
No.
Yeah. I want you to be like a nun. I don't give none. I don't want none. You know, you don't get none. You know, that information like that. So, but I am excited, guys, because as we speak, I woke up my entrepreneurial skills and mindset and started thinking about, you know, scenarios. And I'm going to say this one publicly. Now, this is called the fantasy world. Again, let's review. Headgear, optional. Mouthpiece, if you have teeth, mandatory. Gloves, open hand, mandatory. Closed hand gloves, not allowed. Groin cup, mandatory. Presently only for the men. And you're saying, groin cups for women? Yeah, they have pelvic holders too, especially in Taekwondo, because women get hit low also. When you get hit low, it hurts. So that's optional for the women. Highly suggested, but optional. Shin guards, highly suggested, but optional. Boots on your feet, the only sneakers that are allowed are the UMAN OG Pro, Sniper 1s, or equivalent to that. Because there are different models that are actually coming in. Because that heel collapses, the instep has the toe pattern to it. It's been tested. It's been proven. It's safer than kicking someone with your toe that comes out and hits them right in the eye, you know, because that's been the case. And I've gotten hit in the cheek with the toe part of it, or I should say the tip, and nothing happened because it collapses. And that was pretty cool. That was a great test. And tested it on my face. How was that? So that's with the equipment. Now, when it comes to the dream and the goal. See, you cannot hit a goal that you do not have. And a dream is only a dream if you don't achieve it. But it starts off as a dream. And I want to I'm going to say it, honey. I'm going to say it to the existence. I'm going to say it to create it. I'm going to command it to the universe. Yes. I'm happy and grateful now that I have a $100,000 sponsor partner that throws 4 tournaments a year all around the country where we're able to do things such as give away. The biggest prize money ever given away so far for 30 plus is the $10,000 that I'm doing. And that thing is more than probably most of the tournaments. You take a regular, what would be top event. And today, that top event, that might be a NASCAR tournament. Let's take the top 6 NASCAR tournaments. When you take $200 for the 50 plus and $300 for the 30 to 49, that's $500.
Yes.
So each of them gives away $500 per tournament. We're giving away in that same thing, or confirm that. I think it's $3,000. Let me do the math really quick. 250 for the 30s champion, 250 for the 40s champion, 250 for the 50s champion. And that literally, 60, 70, and 80 or 250, and that's $1,500 there alone. And the grand champion, since we did change it slightly, then we also have 30 to 40-year-olds with their own grand champion with an additional $500. The same thing with 50, 60, their own grand champion with an additional $500, and a 70 and above with another additional $500 for another $1,500. So if you combine the $1,500 from the champions in your age bracket and the grand championships, you have $3,000. So that means you got to go to 6 tournaments to get the equivalent. Imagine that. Crazy. And that means that you have to go to 6 hotels, 6 airplanes, because even when you may not be in the profit. So in a nutshell, and that's not counting if you have 2 different weight categories in those divisions based on demand. Remember, a total of 16. Then literally you're going to have an additional $100. So that would be additional 100, and let's say that happened in each division, that would be another $800 total on top of that. That would be $3,800 possibly. And that's on the maximum. We're not going to allow more than 16 people per division. And I'm going to start every week. I'm going to show you guys, and the website's going to have who has been registered already. And you're going to see that if you don't make a move, you'll be left out, just because we have to make sure that we're as efficient as possible. Now, in the team fighting, we're giving away $500 times 3, another $1,500. So you take that $1,500 plus the other 15 and the other 15, that's $4,500. Now in forms, we're doing the same thing as in fighting. Forms, you got $250 for the 30-year-olds, the 40-year-olds, the 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 70 and 80-year-olds, $250 a piece. And in addition to that, a grand champion of $500 for the 30, 40, $500 for the 50, 60, and $500 for the 70, 80. Wait a second. Before the grand champion, we also have weapons. Whoa! And I went crazy, guys, only because a handful of people say, well, how about weapons division? And they don't have, let's just say this. In the weapons division, it's $250 again for if you become that champion in the weapons. Now, the weapons division itself has traditional weapons, hard style, which is Japanese / Okinawan. And then we have a Chinese weapon division, which of course is Kung Fu and Wushu, so on and so forth. Or I should say Kung Fu, not traditional. I guess, and I'll see, if Sijo Raul Ortiz, he's in charge of that. I think that the Wushu guys go to the open division. Maybe I'm wrong. Because I know you got traditional Kung Fu, and then you got Wushu, which is more like modern with gymnastics involved and stuff like that. But in terms of the divisions, in form, you have American style, Japanese, Korean, Japanese, Okinawan is together, Korean, Chinese, open, and women. Women are in a unique situation, guys, because women actually have a more of a chance to win grand champion. So we'll have a women's division in forms. There's only one where all the different styles goes into that. But then they can also go into competing in their age bracket with their style. So if a woman's a Kung Fu stylist, 50 years old, they can compete in the women's division. Maybe they took only second there, but now when they go over to the Kung Fu style women, Kung Fu style, they might beat the men. The weapons is open weapons. It's traditional Okinawan weapons, Okinawan / Japanese weapons, and then you also have the Chinese weapons. Wushu most likely will go into the open division, and also if you do a Korean weapon, which is not normally what happens, but some people, there is a Korean sword that falls under the Japanese and Okinawans too, because it's the same type of weapon. And that's $250 times 8 divisions. That's $1,500 in weapons that we're giving away. Same thing. The 8 divisions also in forms is another $1,500. So that's another $3,000. And the grand champion is 500 times 3, another $1,500. So if you add that up, when it comes to just forms, weapons, and sparring, there's a whopping total of $4,500. Now, but wait, there's more. No, I'm wrong. Let's see. Yeah, 3,000, 3,000. Okay. And then we have the team fighting. In team fighting, you are allowed to have only 2 people from the lower bracket maximum. So in other words, if it's 30 to 40, you can have 2 30-year-olds and 1 40, but you cannot have 3 30-year-olds. You can't have 3 40-year-olds. No question about that. But the idea is to spread from both. Now, if you are sparring in the 50 to 60, it's the same thing. And now in the case where there's let's say there's 3 people in the 60s that would like to fight that in the 50 to 60-year-olds and turn the team. You can't. In other words, you can have 3 of the oldest bracket in a team, but you cannot have 3 of the younger bracket. So if you're 60, if you're 60, you can have 3 people that are 60. But if you're 50, which is 50 to 60, you can't have 3 people that are 50. But you can't have 2 people that are 50 and 1 60-year-old. That I would allow. Same thing with the 70s. There's a possibility that we may not have too many people fighting in the 80s. That's a possibility, but that means that you can have 3 people, which is the exception to the rule, 3 people who are in their 70s to compete doing that. So, I'm going to go over points or rules really quick. When it comes to fighting, off the bat, you will get disqualified if there's any blood. And I'm sorry, guys. It happened the other day where the person went in by accident, they got hit with an elbow. If you draw blood, we have to be, you've got to be disqualified. And it's sad, but I got to say it like that, only because we are dealing with people who that blood might be a little detrimental based on their condition. We will be checking IDs. Now check this out, guys. This is something I want you to listen to me a little bit. Even though there's honor and respect, there's all people right now that actually just get over. So in order for us to acknowledge that you are that age bracket,
yes,
we're going to have to check your ID to make sure that that's the case.
Okay.
Now, and that's going to be at the door. So even though you guys are registering beforehand, we want all of your information sent to us so like that we can fill out your information. It'll be in an envelope. Once you get at the door, there's a little bit, cousin Carmen and maybe another person. There's probably have 3. You will be writing your waiver, and at that point, you're going to get your bands that are necessary in order for you to go into your appropriate divisions. So, yes, we are going to be checking ID. Yes, we are going to be checking mouthpieces for those with teeth. Yes, we're going to be checking groin cups. So get your groin cup and start getting used to it. Start practicing it. Because right now, if I went to a tournament and I had to wear headgear, no problem. Why? I've been wearing my headgear at least 2 or 3 times a week.
Yep.
Just to condition myself. For those of you who don't like mouthpieces, do what I did. I molded the mouthpiece and I walked around my house and I got used to it. Sometimes I even speak now and you can't even tell. My point is that we have to be safe and compliant because we cannot put yourself at jeopardy, put your guys at jeopardy, even though we'll have a medic there, but that's not the case. The case is that we want to avoid any of the nonsense, which is unnecessary. So if you do the total, that we have $9,750 that's accounted for so far, because the women actually have 3 age brackets. The women have 30 and 40. Whoever wins from that gets $500. They have 50 to 60. Whoever wins that again, gets $500. And I should say, I apologize, not a $500, $250. $250, 30, 40-year-olds competing against each other, women. 50, 60-year-old, whoever wins, that is $250. And then 70 and above is going to have their own $250. So we have 3 championships, and that's going to include 3 championship bouts too. 3 championship bouts. That's another $750. So if you add up the total, it's $9,750. So what do you do with that last $250? You invest it in the people who are the most abused, the more to me, and those are the referees / judges. We're going to call the official of the day. The doors open at 7:30 a.m. on September 20th, 2026 at the William L. Dickinson High School. And that's, I believe, 2 Palisades. Can you double check that? I think it's 2 Palisades in Jersey City, Palisades Avenue. If not, you see the information. Actually, you could look up this and make it bigger, and you'll be able to see it. The event starts at 8 o'clock, guys, with the 30-year-olds. That includes underbelts and black belts. They all go at the same time, except that the underbelts go underground to what would be the cafeteria, where there's 8 divisions for there, 8 rings for them to be able to be satisfied. At 9:30, that's when you have the 40-year-olds, and again, those same people. Is it 2 Palisades?
It is 2 Palisades Ave, Jersey City, New Jersey.
There you go. And give me the zip for what it was worth.
The zip code is 07306.
Just so you know, but you know, we want to, and guys, I'm going to address an issue after this. So, the 40-year-olds start at 9:30. So every hour and a half, at 11 o'clock, you have the 50s. But look at what's going to happen, hon. Guys, if we have that center, that ring in the middle, which we're going to have to, what's driving me crazy is the amount of money that, I'd rather give away that money. I would rather give away that money. I'd rather give away that money
Yes.
than to pay a ring. Man. Let's talk about that. 'Cause I'd rather give away $1,500 more
Woo!
than to pay $1,500 for a ring to come in. But we can make the center. Like, there's a way to do the center ring where everybody can see it. There are platforms where they use like NASCAR, and I don't think they cost that many, which are like tables put on top of each other. You know, so let's keep that as a question mark. But as we speak, we do have a ring coming in. But now when I think about it, I'd rather give away that money than to pay aesthetically for a ring. Something to think about.
Does anybody have a ring? Like,
Well, that's the thing. These people rent their rings. Now I can buy a ring for about $4,000 or $5,000,
Oh,
but
sure.
where I'm going to put it, you know,
Yeah.
and I could use that in the future, but that's not the case presently. However, we'll probably get the ring. Well, we'll see. We'll confirm that. The point still is that in the center, regardless of the ring, or ring number 9 is going to be a big ring in the center. 4 to the right, 4 to the left, which is 8 rings that we're running, and then 8 rings downstairs for the underbelts. So in the center ring, when the 30 and 40-year-olds finish competing, fighting forms and weapons, they're going to start their team fighting, which is the 30 and 40-year-old team fighting immediately in the center ring.
okay.
When the 50 and 60-year-olds, so 50-year-olds start at 11 o'clock, 60-year-olds start at 12:30. When they're finished, immediately team fighting will be 50 and 60-year-olds in the center of the ring. Whether it's a boxing ring or just the center of the ring, but most likely be the boxing ring. And then at 12:30, you have the 60-year-olds. At 2 o'clock, then you got the 70 and 80-year-olds going on. The 70 and 80-year-olds got winning. They should be finished by 3:30. And then the event immediately, same location. We just set up a bunch of chairs. And we're going to have the last ring in the middle anyway. And that's when we set up the VIP chairs and so on and so forth. Which again, if you want a VIP ticket, presently is going to cost you another $25. We're only going to allow 1,000 people on that floor. And at the door, that ticket's going to be $100. the same way the spectator, which is presently $25, at the door, that's going to be $50. Sorry, guys, just the way it is. Because the spectators are going to be seeing pioneers and legends. So if you don't like the price point, then you make sure you get your ticket earlier. I got to be steadfast about that because we're giving away so much income that I don't want people to I don't want them to belittle the people who are there like there's no big thing. You're going to see some legendary stuff. And people, God forbid, that we may never even see again. As sad as it is, but it's just the truth. So that's the team fights. And they get $500 per. Now in the nighttime finals, yes, the nighttime finals, we are going to have the team fights for first place to give away the money. So all the big money, all the grand championship money, the $500 additional after the $200 after you win your division in forms and weapons and in fighting. The women getting the $250, so there'll be at least 3 women fighting in the finals, guys. Why not? Let the ladies do their thing, and hopefully we'll have some of the ladies win the forms divisions too. But bottom line is that we're doing our part to make sure. Now, the parking is free if you pre-registered, and if you don't pre-register, they're going to pay $5 parking for the whole day, which is pretty, the most reasonable thing. And the reason we're doing that, guys, is because we are paying at least 1, if not 2, security guys to make sure, and we don't have a budget for that. So even though parking normally would be free, but we're renting the place, so we actually own that too. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with that, only because it is a tip. Make things easier for us. Anyhow, the referee, the official, the judge, whatever you want to call him, will get $250, and we will be voting to see who's the best that day. It could be a corner judge, it could be a center judge. Doesn't matter. And it's not going to be based on popularity, it's going to be based on results. I'm going to be watching around, telling the arbitrators too, look out to see who you think was the best, and then we'll figure it out. But you know what? When it comes down to it, I have the final say. Sorry. They're going to point it out. I'm going to be looking at people, going to be walking that place. I have the final say, yes. That's just the way it is. Because I think I'm one of the freaking best damn judges there is, to be honest with you. Because I see things happening before they happen. However, it's my opinion. It's my opinion. So, presently it's $25. Thank you, hon. For what would be spectators. They're on the second floor, but you can see extensively any ring from there. Plus, there is an elevator. If you cannot walk, we have an elevator. So wheelchairs and so on and so forth. It is handicap accessible the way it has to be. So that's happening, and that's presently $25. It'll go $5 up in the month of June, and every month thereafter. So by the date of the event, is a total of $50 at the door. So please make your move fast. In addition to that, we have 3 divisions presently for $60. $60 also includes your spectator ticket, 1 spectator ticket in the month of May for anyone who registers. That goes away in June, by the way. That goes away in June. There's going to be no spectator ticket given away to you in June. That spectator ticket presently has a $25 value. So if you take the $60 minus $25, you just paid $35 for 3 divisions. 3 divisions. I'll say it again. 3 divisions. Now, that will change. That $60 becomes $70 in June, $80 in July, $90 in August, and there's nobody in September. It's $100 for 1 division, $25 for each additional division. There's no registration at the door for competitors, 0, because we're gonna set all this up to make sure we're as smooth as possible. Now downstairs, again, those hours that I mentioned, those times that I mentioned, and those age brackets, I should say, that I mentioned, as it's happening upstairs, so above, so below. Downstairs, there'll be 8 divisions also. 8 up top, 8 in the bottom, those 8 divisions to make sure we cover all of our underbelts. Yes, white belts, yellow belts, green belts, all the way to brown belts, age 40 and all the way up to 90 or what have you. So it's not limited to what would be just black belts. And I don't think that anything else. We have our sponsor, our main sponsor, where I got to thank from the bottom of my heart. You know, Master TK, or TKO as we know him back in the days. I know him since the early 80s. Literally has a company called Cheyenne Reigns, and that's his record label. But he also has another company that he's going to start using for sponsorship that I'll actually mention that sooner or later. Then we got old Sensei Carl Matthews, who donated also. And he has the Faith Fighters Academy, plus there's a martial arts tournament he throws. I got to find out when it is, too. And then, in addition to that, we do have a commitment from what would be Jesse Ray and his Virtual Fight Tour, who literally going to have their tournament. Also, King of New York tournament is about a week before the event. No conflict, guys. Different markets and working together. And then we also had, so far, Mr. Eddie Boone, who donated 150 whoppers. And he sponsored the 3 people that I mentioned earlier with that. So, if you do the math, we have $6,900 committed. So that's when I said, man, we got $6,900. We can get another, difference. We can get the difference. We can get another $3,100 to get to $10,000. $10,000 sounds better to me than $6,500. Anyhow, I'm Grandmaster Jerry Fast Feet Fontanez, the founder of the Unified Martial Arts Network, OG, older guys and older girls. And we're having our internationals. The first internationals is a 1-year anniversary from the nationals that happened last year. We will have T-shirts and merchandise available, and I mentioned how those mandatory things. Oh yeah, by the way, if for some reason you do not have a cup and you don't have a mouthpiece with teeth, if you have teeth and you have a mouthpiece, then we will be selling equipment. All the equipment necessary on location will be available. I suggest you order them beforehand and have me deliver them at the event. And I make life easier, including your sneakers or what have you. I'm done, guys. God bless. Best wishes. AB. At the tippity top. ABC at the tippity top. And you don't stop. God bless. Us one.